So for the solution for picnic, I'm just going to show you how I would write it um, and how I would build up. I think that that's one of the things that really needs to be taught, especially to beginners, is how do you write a program? Um, one of the elements that I try to teach my students is not to start from scratch. I don't think that you should open a blank screen and just start writing. That's why I provide new PY to give your program some structure that you can just start to fill in. Where we started was to first define our arguments. And we did this in the first part. So we started off here. I'm going to change the purpose of this is to, print items on picnic. Let me copy that and put it here for the description so that my program creates a nice looking help. So I'm going to define my arguments here. Crucially, I'm defining one or more positional arguments. So I'm defining them as items, and by using in args plus, I'm saying one or more of these. And these, by default, are strings. If I wanted to be completely pedantic, I could say type is equal to string. And notice that um, the metavar is the thing that will show up in the help. So let's save this, and if I run my program with -h, it shows STRA right there, items we are bringing. And that's not incredibly informative. I could say, item, and I could call that. If I change that and I run my -8, it shows here that the positional argument is item. Some items we are bringing, one or more. Item, item. So that is what the metavar is for. The type is an actual uh, Python type, and here the type is not in quotes. It's the actual class string. Um, that's not necessary because by default everything coming from the command line is a string. If you want it to be, say, an integer value, then you're going to have to convert it to an integer. And I can actually show you in a little while. We'll show how to make argparse handle that for us and how to make argparse also handle creating the error statements if it's not parsable as an integer. Here, they're going to be strings, and the big thing here is that we want one or more. So we're using in args equal to plus, and the help is what shows here in the help document. The other thing that we defined was a flag, and this is an option, so it starts with a dash for the short flag. The short flag is a single character plus a dash, a single dash. And the long flag is two dashes plus more than one character. So usually some English word that just makes it very, very clear what this flag is for. The short flag is just for terseness on the command line because we don't always want to type out -- sorted. And we put in here a help statement whether or not to sort these items. The action that argparse will take is that when this is present, it will store true. You can look in the argparse appendix and see some of the other elements. You could say store false, or you could, there's a couple other ways that you can use flags, and I encourage you to read the documentation for argparse to understand more about those. But those are the two kinds of arguments that we'll have to our program. One or more positional arguments, which are required, and an optional sort flag that only has to be supplied when the user wants them to be sorted. So if here, if we print the, we've already seen that we can print the args items, and let's just print args sorted. So let's just see what we've got. I always like to start here. So I'll say soda and chips for the moment. Well, let's just start off with one item. So even when I pass in one item, the thing that I can see is when I print it, I get back a list with one item. So when there's one item, I'm not going to get back a string. I'm going to get back a list with one string in it. If I say soda and chips, then I get back a list that has two elements. Remember, it's not possible for me to pass in no elements because we've defined it as inargs equals to plus. So we'll never, in this instance, going to get back an empty list. There always will be something in our list. So let's just say soda and chips. And here when we say print args sorted, what we're saying here is the value false. If I pass in sorted as an option, then now we see that let me make that a little bigger. We see that sorted is equal to true, and we have 2 elements in our chips, soda and chips. Okay, so um, let's run make test and see where we are. So what we're saying is that we're passing the first 2 tests and we're failing test 1. It says, I'm passing you the value chips, and what I want to see is you are bringing chips. Let's just try to solve just that one. So for the moment, I'm going to comment these out, and I want to handle if the length of, well, actually, let's do this. Let's put items into a list, args.items. If the length of items is equal to 1, we're going to print you are bringing, and we've already seen that we can use a plus sign. And I can say items, and I can get 0, I can use the index 0 to get the first element in there. I know that that element exists because I just verified the length of items is equal to 1. You are bringing that, and then I need a terminating period, plus period. Let's run the program first with chips and verify. You are bringing chips. That works. Let's run make test. And now we see we are passing test 1, and now it's doing test 2, where it's passing 2 elements, and it's saying soda and french fries, and it expects to see you are bringing soda and french fries. So let's talk about how to handle that. If elif the length of items is equal to 2. I can copy this a little bit. And I can say you are bringing the 0th element plus the word and plus items 1 plus. That should work. So let's run our program with these 2 arguments. I'm going to run picnic with soda and french fries. And it says you are bringing soda and french fries. Now let's make sure that we haven't messed up anything that was working before. I'll run make test. And it's passing for 1, and it's passing for 2, and it's failing for more than 2. So in the next video, we'll talk about how to pick up from there and finish solving this problem.